WEFTEC 2025 had about 1,000 exhibiting companies, so could I vet them all? Of course not. But still, I did my subjective and selected picks. This company is one of them. And if you don't have time for the full WEFTEC episode, I'm still placing you the link in the description. I thought I'd cut you out this short portrait.
My name is Katchinoff, and at Crew, we developed a technology that improves the efficiency of wastewater treatment, making it more efficient, cheaper, all while capturing greenhouse gases. So think of CO2, nitrous oxide. The next level in, which is probably what you might be asking, is how do we do it? We use globally abundant, naturally occurring, soluble calcium carbonate, and we dose it directly into wastewater treatment facilities, directly into biological treatment, where the calcium carbonate reacts with and dissolves in the presence of CO2, converting the CO2 that comes from the biogenic emissions of the little microbes, turning that CO2 into stable bicarbonate, all within the bounds of the wastewater plant.
Calcium carbonate is what you have here, right?
Right, yeah.
That's the powder.
Yes.
And you just drop it in the biological tank and that's it.
Yeah, effectively, at a very simple level. Yeah, so we design and build systems that holds the mineral that we source locally to the facility. Think of a vertical silo or a horizontal mixed tank that holds the calcium carbonate and then precisely doses it directly into biological treatment.
But it's really like that. It's like the powder goes into the tank and that's it.
Correct. Yep. And then it dissolves, completely dissolves, so it doesn't form a solid. Similar to how sugar dissolves in your coffee, calcium carbonate will dissolve into the wastewater. That increases the pH and increases the alkalinity, which is really beneficial for biological treatment.
And what is proprietary in that?
One, we have several patents that covers both the apparatus, so the pieces of kit that come together to make this process happen, and the process itself, the dosing part, as well as what are the sort of steps that are required to use calcium carbonate to turn CO2 into bicarbonate.
Tell me more about that one.
To be able to use calcium carbonate, you need to have a pretty deep understanding of the type of calcium carbonate that you're using. That's the chemistry of it. There's different types of calcium carbonate, as well as the size of the grains to make sure that it is soluble. So if you were to source any sort of bulk calcium carbonate from, I don't know, the store.
Do they sell that at one of those fancy grocery stores?
It probably wouldn't work because you need to have a sort of next level understanding of what types of calcium carbonate actually make this process happen effectively.
You said locally sourced.
Yeah.
You have like the specific specs of how that should look like.
Yeah.
And then you go shop around and you see what's within direct vicinity of the plant and that's what you source. If I'm not mistaken, that's only half of your innovation because you also have a business model innovation.
One of the things that I think is unique to our approach is that because we can remove carbon dioxide, right, we effectively can monetize the climate impact of our solution, which today we generate carbon credits that we sell to large corporates and governments. So think of big banks, big hyperscaler technology companies that are procuring our carbon credits at a pretty elevated price, hundreds of dollars per ton of CO2 removed. At the same time, we're optimizing the treatment process, which we sell as our services directly to the utilities. So it's just actually effectively a dual solution technology that gets us paid from the utilities, but also paid on the carbon credit side.
Carbon credit sounds like something complex, but understandable. Like you get it, you trade it. How do you optimize the treatment?
By effectively keeping pH and alkalinity at an optimal level 24/7 and 365, that improves biological nitrogen removal. There's a direct link between nitrification efficiency and pH. It's canonical, right? There's a figure that we've all known and read about in the textbooks, and we enable that. And most utilities wouldn't, right? Because maybe they're looking to minimize the input of chemicals, maybe minimize the costs. But because we're generating carbon credits, we effectively can subsidize the addition of alkalinity and keep these plants running in conditions that are optimal for biological treatment through the subsidy of the carbon credits.
Does every wastewater treatment plant fluctuate and move and drift, and so would benefit from a pH adjustment? Or is it really the ones which are not in a good shape?
Yeah, it's a combination, right? So we work with utilities that use alkaline chemicals today, right? Those are the most obvious, right? Think of like sodium hydroxide, magnesium hydroxide. We come in and we replace the usage of those conventional chemicals, and there's an obvious value prop there because we can offer alkalinity cheaper than what's available on the market. We also work with utilities that don't use alkalinity today. Maybe they're just getting by in terms of their process performance, but by optimizing pH and alkalinity, we can even take them to the next level of treatment and really ensure that they stay within compliance, especially in the broader backdrop of treatment requirements increasing in terms of their strictness for, nitrogen removal or phosphorus removal.
How did you grow up your business model, which is pretty unique? Like you woke up in the morning and said, hey, I'm going to sell carbon credits, or was it an evolution?
It was an evolution. My background really is understanding how we can use alkaline minerals to remove CO2 from a range of environments, rivers, oceans, agricultural systems, because there are gigatons, billions of tons of CO2 that go through Earth's water cycle every single year. One portion of the water cycle is the water and the pollutants that flow through wastewater. So it became very obvious to us that if we were going to use alkaline minerals to capture greenhouse gases, the wastewater application of our technology made a lot of sense because we're tying into existing infrastructure, we're tying into closed engineered systems, so it's very measurable, and we're solving real operational pain points. So it's not just carbon removal for the sake of carbon removal, it's really this dual solution that I keep talking about that really sort of proved to us that this was the right market to go into.
But let's go to the bottom of that dual solution and that business model. That means that as you're selling the improvement of the process and you're selling the carbon credits, you're not on top of that also selling the equipment. So the equipment comes in as a service and you are then getting paid on the two ends. How do you finance that? That must be super expensive.
A couple models that we've deployed today, which is, we can provide unpaid demo and sort of prove in a very short period of time just how we can improve the treatment process. And at the same time, because we're operating at scale, we're already making an impact on the carbon market side of things. Even though we have maybe an unpaid demo initially, because we're able to valorize the carbon impact, it's not unpaid for crew, if that makes sense. So that's kind of how we're able to finance an unpaid demo for the utility, but it's actually, we're still making the value from the carbon credits initially.
You say deployed at scale, where?
We are operational at 6 utilities, mostly up and down the east coast of the US, and actually one in Europe. And now we're sort of moving westward in the United States and continuing to evaluate how we could expand in Europe.
What is your vision down the line? Is it like to demonstrate that is doable and then to license it out, or to build like a huge company which is present everywhere in the world and creates carbon credits?
I think we have the interest and desire to potentially evaluate both. I am the founder of this company, and I think it would be silly not to have big ideas of grandeur and seeing this becoming one of the biggest carbon dioxide removal company in the world. And whether that means us going it alone and sort of building it organically and doing it ourselves, or potentially working with the right partners and licensing this approach to enable at scale. We're open to both. We're kind of evaluating both as we speak. And so I think time will tell, what path makes most sense for us.
I have a total muggle question. Carbon credits, is it something which is like stable in time, which is like evolving a lot? Is it something trendy with the current administration? I don't know, really from an outsider perspective.
The carbon markets are maybe segmented into sort of two views. So on one hand, there is what's called the voluntary carbon markets. So these are mostly corporates who have their own climate goals that they're trying to hit by 2030, 2040, 2050. Many of them have done as much as they can to reduce their carbon footprint, changing light bulbs, moving to different forms of public transport, changing the type of energy that they source and utilize. But because the businesses are the way they are, there's still going to be a gap in getting to carbon neutral. And to fill that gap, they need to procure high quality carbon credits. And when I say high quality, I mean these are carbon credits that are removing CO2 from the atmosphere, storing it permanently, so more than 1,000 years, and storing it in a very measurable way.
High quality, you got the definition, but is it like a trademark, a copyright, a referenced something with a certificate? Who says it's a high quality?
So there are now multiple third-party registries and verifiers who are in place where they've established protocols that defines what is high quality, what is durable, what is measurable. And so we work with some of these registries today under a protocol called the Wastewater Alkaline Enhancement Protocol that literally tells you the steps that are required to meet that criteria.
Reverse engineer that. What happens in the next 12 months?
The major focus is deploying this technology across as many utilities as possible. Our goal is to remove as much carbon dioxide as possible as quickly as possible. And that's, projects that we're developing currently with some of our utility partners, as well as some of our channel partners here in the US, but also in Europe. So we're contracting with a few utilities at the moment. Once that contracting is in place, signing the dotted line, building these projects and actually deploying them over the next few months. We have a pretty exciting and robust pipeline in addition to the 6 utilities that we work with today.
Let me take the converse of that. Why would a utility not sign with you? They get a better treatment of their plant. They don't need to put money down because you do that. And then on top of that, they have like the best PR there is because now they become a carbon sink.
Initially, they don't put money down, but for many of the utilities, we do, after the demonstration period, move towards contracting with them where they will eventually pay us, for the equipment and the mineral input. But again, much cheaper than what is available in the market, I should say. But in terms of your question on why don't they say yes, there are some utilities where maybe the process doesn't require this input, right? And they're operating in such a way that there's not much more room for optimization. That might be a reason why there's not a good fit. For us, one of the criteria that we look about is size, right? So the economics also need to make sense for us. And proximity to our supply chain is also something that might mean mean that we don't want to partner with that utility because the projects don't make sense.
And in terms of size, what's the sweet spot?
On the municipal side, 10 million gallons per day and larger. Multiply times 4, so 40 to 50 million liters per day. We've only been in business for about 3 years, and that, to be able to be deployed at 6 utilities in 3 years, I think is lightning speed for...
We're just on the other side of the Blue Tech pavilion. You take the Blue Tech theory, you are not even an outlier. You don't exist in the charts. Yeah. It's like crazy fast.
Right. And I think that's a testament to the value prop that we offer these utilities.
You said several times for utilities or for municipal, because there's also an industrial case.
It's made sense just how we've gone to market to focus on the municipal space, but absolutely industries that have an organic component to their waste. So think of food and bev, aquaculture, dairy, pulp and paper. There's absolute possibility for us to integrate into their operations as well.
Thanks that for the short of it, we need to have like a full conversation down the line.
Thank you.
That's it for today. If you have a bit of time left, YouTube believes you should go watch this. And if you wonder why I picked this company, happy to discuss it in the comments, and I'll see you next time.